Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today is a very exciting day because Sigma have finally answered our collective prayers and provided us with an updated version of their 50mm lens. Introducing the Sigma 50mm f1.4 DG Art. But as always, the question is this new model actually better than the old one? Well, in terms of build, don't expect to be blown away straight away, as this new lens is only 1.5 centimeters smaller than the old one. However, it is just over 200 grams or 7.5 ounces lighter, which isn't something to be sniffed at. Now, as with most of the DG updates we've seen so far, this new 50mm includes a bunch of new modernized features, including an MF to AF switch, a customizable AF lock button, and a declickable and lockable manual aperture ring. In contrast to the old lens, which only features an MF to AF switch and a focus indicator window. Both lenses are made from a mixture of metal and composite plastics, and they both feature a dust and splash proof construction. When switching over to manual focus, although the new design uses a focus by wire system, it's actually pretty responsive and nice to use. The older lens, on the other hand, has a traditional mechanical MF dial, so alterations to manual focus are instant and super accurate. Unfortunately though, it seems that the focus breathing issues present on the old design have transferred their way over to the new model too, which is definitely going to be disappointing for videographers. So when it comes to handing out points in this first round, I think that both lenses deserve a point for build, as they're clearly very nicely put together. When it comes to handling, although I will admit the improvements to the new 50mm are modest, collectively they do make it the slightly nicer option to shoot with. So I am going to have to give the new lens a full point, but I'll also award the old lens with half a point, as it's still a nice lens to work with. But how much is this new model going to set you back? Well, on release, this lens will be priced at $849 or £849 here in the UK. In comparison, the old lens is currently going for around $800 in the US or £650 here in the UK, so really there's not a huge amount of difference. And considering the new model includes a range of modernized features, I would say that it's the better value for money option and deserves a point for price. When it comes to autofocus, in good lighting conditions, both lenses are rapid to focus with no signs of hunting. In low light conditions, however, the new lens offers a clear improvement both in terms of AF speed and accuracy. When shooting wide open in high speed continuous mode, almost all of the shots that I took with the new lens were sharp and in focus, with only one or two that were slightly misfocused. The old lens, on the other hand, was definitely more hit and miss, particularly struggling as George walked closer to the camera. Though that said, I still walked away with plenty of sharp shots. So this new lens clearly offers an upgrade when it comes to autofocus in photo mode, so it grabs itself a point in this round. Switching over to video mode, when shooting wide open at f1.4, both lenses were able to track George as he walked towards the camera at a regular pace with really no issues at all. When repeating the test at a faster pace, again, both lenses consistently kept focus without any issues. As for AF noise, the hypersonic motor in the old lens was picked up by the camera's built-in microphone, whereas the new lens was practically silent. However, when shooting out in the real world, to be completely honest, these lenses are pretty much indistinguishable. They're both able to focus quickly and accurately, and they worked well using my A7 Mark IV's IAF and face detection features. Despite the new lens being 200 grams lighter, I really didn't notice the weight difference all that much while shooting, and I can't say that either lens was particularly unpleasant to work with in regards to their size or weight. So that means when it comes to scoring, despite the old lens being slightly noisier than the new one, both options are totally viable for video work and therefore both deserve a point in this round. In our Bokeh balls test, both lenses produced nice round orbs at the center, which quickly turned to a cat's-eye shape at the corners, with a prominent onion ring effect also present. As for general bokeh quality, both lenses create a super soft and pleasing bokeh when shooting wide open at f1.4. So with no noticeable differences between these two lenses, it's points all round. In our lens flare test, there didn't seem to be any real improvement with this new design, with both lenses unfortunately displaying heavy ghosting and artifacting, though both lenses do come included with lens hoods to help shade the front element in harsh lighting conditions. On our longitudinal chromatic aberration test, both lenses display similar levels of green colouring above the plane of focus and red fringing beneath it. Just as I found when shooting with video, the performance of these lenses for photography is nearly identical. Sure, the new 50mm is a touch quicker to lock on focus, but both lenses put in a solid performance throughout the shoot. Neither lens produced any horrifically misfocused images, and that meant that I came away from the shoot with a huge selection of photos to choose from. Now, I'll be totally honest and mention that up until recently, I actually owned a copy of this old Sigma 50mm and I used it for a number of years. Although I am a big fan of the 50mm focal length, I actually ended up selling this lens as it has one big flaw that really annoyed me. When shooting into strong backlight, it would create images with a super strong purple fringing, which I felt absolutely ruined my photos. Yes, it is true there are lens correction settings within Lightroom that will help you to remove this kind of effect, though honestly don't even bother with the automatic setting as it just will not make a dent in this level of fringing. Instead, you'll need to go up to manual and then wank the defringe slider all the way to the right, and I mean all the way, and this should remove it. And although you can't see me right now, I am actually saying the word remove in air quotes, because actually all that's going on here is the purple fringing is being desaturated. So instead of purple, you're left with a nice grey outline around your portraits, which I guess is better, but certainly not a perfect fix. I'm happy to report though that this is no longer an issue with the new model, as you can see here. Unfortunately though, the new lens now has the issue of suffering from an unholy amount of pincushion distortion. Luckily though, unlike the purple fringing issue that I've already mentioned, this is something that can be very quickly and easily fixed, either by turning on your in-camera lens correction options or by using the lens correction settings in Lightroom and Photoshop once they become available for this lens. So in my opinion, this really isn't all that much to freak out about, but I appreciate that it might be something that puts off any lens purists. In any case, when shooting at f1.4, the center sharpness of these lenses is pretty much identical, though at the corners, the new lens is significantly sharper than the old one. When shooting at the lens's minimum focusing distance at f1.4, they again offer near identical levels of sharpness. So where does this leave us when it comes to scoring for image quality? Well, both lenses are very closely matched as we've seen, so it kind of leaves us splitting hairs here, but in a nutshell, the new lens offers better edge-to-edge sharpness and also doesn't suffer from that horrible purple fringing issue that we've seen on the old lens, so I think it just edges it in this head-to-head test. So going back to our original question, is this new lens actually better than the old one? Well, the short answer is yes. Although it's certainly not the revolutionary update like we saw with the Sigma 85mm a few years ago, the small improvements that have been made to the weight, image quality and autofocus on this new 50mm design certainly make it the better option of these two. Now, if you already own the old Sigma 50mm and your next question is, should I sell up and make the switch to this new model? Well, that's where things get a little bit more difficult. Ultimately, the question you need to ask yourself is, are the improvements on this new lens significant enough that they'll drastically improve your life as a photographer or videographer? If the answer is yes, then I'd definitely go for it. If the answer is no, then you might be better off just sticking with what you already have, or at least waiting for this new lens to drop in price a bit before making the leap. In either case, if you are interested in buying either of these lenses and you also want to help support the channel in the process, then please check out the links in the description below. Any purchases made using these links means that I get a small commission and it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does go a long way to helping us make these videos. Also, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you already haven't, and I look forward to reading your abusive messages in the comment section.